Okay, welcome back. Before I discuss my next build over here, something I want to mention that I neglected to mention in my last video and intended to, and that was to give a shout out to Go For It Painting. He's got a YouTube channel, and he was my 400th subscriber, and we chatted a bit about that. So thank you, Go For It Painting. I do recommend you check out his channel. I'll be mentioning a lot of channels and links, and all the links are going to be in my notes for this video over here. So Go For It Painting, he's actually a Hungarian model builder, and he's one of those guys who's everywhere. He's building, all different types of models and lots of tips and tricks. He does not speak, I'm assuming because English is not his first language, but he does put text for all his videos and explains what he's doing, and really a really good channel. Now, speaking of good channels, this is going to be a tribute to Tom, Rambler69, and his channel. And Tom is one of those guys who's just supporting everybody in the hobby. Honestly, I think every video I watch, and I want to put a comment, Tom's already been there encouraging modelers, everywhere. He's always watching my stuff. He's watching everybody's stuff. If you put up a video of a model build, chances are Tom's going to comment on it. He's a really great guy. And this group build, which is being hosted by Jeff at Jeff's Model Garage. And I want to thank Jeff also because he's been helpful for my channel, where he gave me a shout out, and just, my numbers just skyrocketed just that one mention. But this one's for Tom, and Tom builds funky old cars and roadsters and things like that. And I was debating, what do I build? I thought maybe the hearse might apply to it. I wasn't sure, but I says I really have to get into this group build, which, believe it or not, started back in July, and this was, a 1-year group build. And I said, hey, sure, I've got plenty of time for this, but I'm not the fastest modeler, and I want to make sure I get one in before the end of the year in July. So I'm going to start this one over here, and it's a Paddy Wagon. And the reason I chose the Paddy Wagon, besides being apropos for Tom's channel, is this is one of those kits where I built as a kid, and I always remembered this one. This was a favorite kit of mine when I was a kid, just because of the look, and it came out pretty decent, and I really, really loved it. Now, this is one of those kits that's been around for ages. I think I look back, and it started in late 60s it came out, and it's always been available. I mean, there's repop after repop after repop because it's so popular. There's a few variances from kit to kit. Some of them, this is a Paddy Wagon, a police car, an old police car. And some of them have, a policeman standing on the back and things like that. Now, this kit is not new. I think I bought it at a flea market. I'm not too sure. Again, when I saw a Paddy Wagon, I said, I've got to have one of these. And it's been started. But as we take a look inside, one thing about this kit that's not the greatest is it doesn't have the decals, and I think I knew it at the time. I went through the box and I said it doesn't have the decals, but it's okay. When I built my original Paddy Wagon, I did not use decals as far as I recall. I just built it stock. I don't even know if it had decals. I'm assuming it did, but I probably just didn't bother. But again, this was a 1986 repop of this kit, and there's been repop since then, and it was originally from 1968, and this is the 86 repop. One thing you'll notice is that it's not a chrome tree, it's a gold tree. So that's nice. That's going to be a little bit different. Love the gold look. It goes good with this model over here. And as you can see, whoever had this kit before, they only did one thing. They started on the motor, barely started because it was never even glued. I can see their clean seams and everything. They just started painting it and gave up. I don't know why. I did look through the instructions to try to determine if all the parts were there. It seems that way. I hope I'm right. And I don't know, when they came to this piece over here, one of the headers, they just put a little red ink. Maybe it's just a splotch when they were doing that red. I don't know. Or they said, I got a problem with this. But that part is in there. So I'm hoping everything's there. And we're going to build it stock. I'm not going to change anything. The only issue I have, again, because I don't have the decals, is what color to paint it. And I kind of remember I had a really, really dark blue paint when I built my original one. So I'm going to be using this Tamiya blue over here, which is fairly dark, or dark enough. And it's, police blue, so that should work out. So, with a little hope and luck, I'll be able to finish this before the end of July and make that deadline. Let's get on to the build. Okay, I lied to you again. You folks should be used to that by now, as I've done this before in the past. So I originally said I thought I was going to go with this Tamiya Blue over here, the X4. But as it so happens, I was chatting on somebody else's videos where they mentioned they used some automotive paints. And who was it? Old Tom himself. He had just done a group build for a motorcycle, and I was commenting how the paint job looked extraordinary. And he said he used automotive paints for that. And it got me thinking, I have some automotive paints. And what I did was, years ago, I went through some, it's hard to explain. There was this place that was selling, they keep on selling paints in cans where they had pallets and pallets. And year after year, I'd go back there. And really, really cheap. And $4 for $1. So I picked up actually 16 cans of paint that day. 4 blues, 4 golds, and other colors like that. Only 4 colors, but I picked up 4 of each. And I said, let me, it's just pretty much what I wanted for this model. And it's perfect. It's automotive. It's, it's got a nice sheen to it. So I gave it a shot, and man, was I happy with the results. I mean, I don't know if you can see that over there. It's got like a beautiful sheen. Look at that. And it just, nearly perfect. That's all I can say. So I did, I primed everything over here. A few things in white that need to be white, and some stuff I haven't painted yet. So they're all primed over here. And I got this done, but I lied to you again. I said I was going to build this stock, and then I got to thinking, well, I haven't done the wiring on an engine for quite a while, so I said, let me see if I can do a few distributor caps. And this time I went the cheap route. When I did one for one of my models, an earlier on one where I built a distributor cap, but I drilled, 8 holes with 8 individual wires in the separate holes. And this is just a piece of sprue, old sprue that I got that I chopped off here. So this time I went cheap. There's another way where people, basically you just drill 1 hole in here, make sure it fits all the wires in there, and then you just glue them all in one shot. It's not as good. You can see, because when you have to glue it in, you'll have some, residue basically bonding all the wires together. So you'll have to flip with that, try to get that off. And I actually did 2 things over here when I said I'm going to do, try a few techniques. And this is sprue goo holding them together, and this is just some CA glue. So I do think the CA glue, you don't see it, so it's a lot better regardless. So anyhow, I'm going to try to fit one of these on the engine. I looked around. There's just enough room, I think, for a distributor over towards the front of the engine. We'll give it a shot. But so far, really like how this is coming along. All right, a really quick update here. As you can see, I've painted a bunch of other pieces over here. Went with kind of like a dirty yellow for the front seat. And I didn't have like some tan brown for these back seats, but what I just did is I took Tamiya brown, took white and just add a little dabs of Tamiya brown just to have this tan color. Came out all right. What I really want to show was the distributor cap that I made, and show you how you do for the wiring. Now I'm going to reposition these to make them look a little more natural position, because it's rigid wire. And see over here, I don't have them in yet, but I've drilled all the holes before I glued all this thing together. And there's just going to be enough room for these things over here to go on top. They kind of crisscross. And then the intakes go on top of that. So it's going to look really nice. I do wish, having painted it all that, I do wish I had the decals. It would have looked nicer, but there's not much I can do. David Chin recommended I go online, and I did to see if there's any, just buying the decals. But it's I think it was twice the cost of what I paid for the kit or something like that, especially with the shipping, even though it's just a flat sheet. I like how these rear ball type lights came out. Really nice sheen on those. I put some future after painting the white. And what I did with the cap over here is I put a mask just over the top and just went around with the trusty gold pen to get that line on the hat. Looks nice. So again, just a quick update. Oh, one thing I mentioned, I saw some people, when they do it in blue, they have this in blue as well, but most people have it in black, and I was really debating whether to go with the blue or the black, so I changed my mind. I said it's got a texture, it looks almost like a canvas, so I said I better not make it to blue, so I just gave it a quick shot of black. So we're progressing. Okay, just want to point out a little frustrating point that I have over here with the model. I'm at step 6 over here, and I've got this drag link that I'm supposed to glue, and it's clearly, you know, one side, you know, flat edge goes against the part of the chassis over here. And this is a little ambiguous. It goes under here. The problem is with the part, when you have it, you know, clearly in its spot on one side over here, you can see there, that clearly goes over there. There's a pad for that, so it's obvious. The problem is when you get to the other end over here, the part has, you know, a little flat surface that seems that's a gluing pad there. But when you look at the body over here, the wheel assembly, you know, there is no place for that at all. So I don't know. I think I'm just gonna lop off that piece and put it straight. Just curious, see if anybody's had that issue before, and you know, why did they make it that way? Is it supposed to be like that right there, like under? I don't know. It doesn't seem to be, but maybe I'll glue it like that. So just a frustration and a point I wanted to point out for other builders. All right, just want to make a quick update over here where we haven't put in all the you know, the whole structure, just to show you how it's coming along. It's really coming along very well. The fit is, as some others have said, is really good with this kit. Other than that, you know, drag link that I mentioned, where it wasn't too clear to put it, everything else just fits in perfectly. Very little, you know, fiddling around to get it right. But I just want to say that after I glued it, I just made sure that, you know, this piece goes under the drag link, and just make sure it fits regardless of how you position it over here. You know, make sure that this piece fits. Mine does, so no problem there. I did do something with the headlights over here because they're all hollowed out, and you can see, you know, the fittings, you know, the glue points in these headlights. So what I did is I filled them up with epoxy and just put a little Molotov before I put in the clear glass, just to make it flat surface and a little more reflective, and you don't see this, you know, black hole basically. So make it a little bit better there. I want to say also, when you're doing the painting, not to forget before you glue on this stuff is to paint these little you know, the pedestals of where the handrails go, and you know, where the steering wheel goes, the column there. So paint those gold, or whatever color you're doing the handrails and things like that. So, and that's about it. Oh, one thing I also mentioned, I want to mention is I was looking at, you know, the wiring that I put in, and you can see I put it, you know, as in the traditional place where it goes under, coming down from under in the engine. But I was wondering, maybe for this kit, if it would have been better to go over the top to show those wires a little bit more. Again, it's just something to consider when you're going to do the wiring, if you're going to add a distributor cap. And you can see over here, I did not paint, you know, when I was doing the painting, I did not paint the top of this, because again, this is going to be covered by these paneled walls over here. So looking good. Okay, I'm calling this one done, folks. Two little things I did since the last video, or modifications I did, especially since I didn't have the decals. I felt obliged to paint in the 1912 fuzz there on the grill. Just a little paintbrush, a little tough, but came out nice. And another thing I did, if you recall, I mentioned how I had to fill in the headlights. Well, the horn was the opposite. It was like a flat surface horn, and what I did is I, you know, drilled out the holes in there to make it, a deeper hole for the horn. Other than that, the only issue I had was actually putting in the last pieces. The two struts over there. I changed the. Well, it shouldn't have made a difference, but a small difference. I took the hose connecting the grill to the motor and I shortened it a bit, which pulled back the headlights just a bit. And then what happens is these supports over here, they go from the window to the underside of the headlights. So that meant the headlights were just a little closer. So I had a little tougher time to glue them in there, but I worked around with it. Again, a beautiful kit. Everything, except for the very few problems I mentioned in the video, everything else fits so well. It was, I wish all models were like this. So I highly recommend you get it. It does take a lot of work. I mean, there's a lot of pieces and a lot of fiddly pieces, but the end result is you won't have too many fit issues, and if you take your time, you will have a beautiful model kit. I wish I had the decals. I kind of regret that I settled for a kit that didn't have them, but again, it's still fine. If you can get it with the decals. What can I say? So thanks for watching. I'll have some, the beauty shots at the end over here, the close-ups, and my next kit, I think I know what I'm going to be building, although it won't be your usual model kit. That's all I want to say for now because I don't want to commit to it. So see you soon.